pop right into it. All right. So Sandra's story is like the perfect example of how faith results in hope. So why don't we start in October 2020 and just tell us just how broken you were.
Well, there's my picture. That is my emotional picture of me in the hospital. Full DTs, withdrawals. I don't know if you guys know what DTs are. They're delirium tremens. It's what somebody goes through when they're going through alcohol withdrawals. High blood pressure, hallucinations, body aches, flu-like symptoms, tachycardia. So I ended up in the hospital October 13th, 2020. And from there, I went home and contemplated suicide. I was done. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I had 2 boys at home, and I was married at the time. I decided that I was going to send them off to school, and I wasn't going to tell my husband at the time, and I was going to kill myself. And for some reason, I kind of gave God an ultimatum. I gave him a test of either kill me or I'm going to kill myself. And I got a call from my sister-in-law, who's my best friend, Diane, that morning, and she called to check on me, and I told her, that's me and Di. We've been best friends for 25 years. She was introduced to me in a tragic accident. We both lost our best friend named Megan, and we didn't like each other. 8th grade bullshit. Sorry, cussing.
All right. It's completely fine.
And at Megan's funeral, I walked up to her and was like, I know the pain you're feeling, and I just want to hug you and hold you. And since then, we have been soul sisters. And she's been a part of my life. She actually is with my brother. They're married, and they have 3 beautiful children. So they've been together. That's me and Di. That was just taken on Easter. So she is my rock, my everything, and I feel like that she was my guardian angel in real life. She called me that morning. She picked me up. I told her that I wanted somewhere safe where I didn't have alcohol accessible to me, and I wanted something to help me with my withdrawals. And she was like, I got you. I'm a nurse. Let's go.
Blessed are those who are sad, for they will be comforted, right? So her prayers were answered. So at this point, you're on medical leave with your job, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Your marriage is falling apart. You're alcoholic. You're shame and guilt, tons of shame and guilt. And pretty much you were telling me you just couldn't even look at yourself in the mirror.
No, I couldn't.
Right.
I couldn't. After feeling so broken, I remember Diane, they live up in the mountains, and so she drove down and she picked me up that morning. And on the way there, I remember seeing a sign that said St. Francis Treatment Center, and it was up in by Hume Lake. It's where they live, and I was like, what is a place like that? And I got on my phone and I started Googling how to get sober, and I thought there was this magic pill that can cure me of this disease of being sober. But unfortunately, there was no pill. There was a picture of My Time Recovery. And this picture that I saw was 6 red chairs around a fire pit. And I pictured myself sitting around this fire pit, smoking cigarettes and being away from alcohol. And I did an online submission, and the next day, Diane and my brother took me to My Time Recovery for treatment.
Blessed are the underdogs, for they'll have an unbelievable comeback story. So this is kind of like where this comeback story begins, right?
Yeah.
So you checked into My Time, and you did a 6-month program?
Yeah, about 6 months.
So you talked about how you found My Time. What was it like at My Time, and how great is the staff over there?
Oh, my God. So it was amazing. I remember walking in My Time. I hadn't eaten in 3 days. I was like 91 pounds. Steve, I don't know if anybody knows who Steve is. He's not able to be here tonight.
Hey,
he was alumni at My Time tonight. But Steve fed me mandarin oranges and turkey chili. It was disgusting, but it was the first meal that I ate. And from there, I just felt safe. I felt like, I was having faith in that this treatment program could help me. And I had hope that I could love myself again. And they definitely exhibit that.
What is the one thing that you took away from My Time? 1 or 2 things.
1 or 2 things. Definitely a sense of being loved, that I was doing a good job. I feel like that was something that I never ever heard. And, I would get these small milestones of, a week or 30 days or something, and everybody was always just like, "You're doing so good. I'm so proud of you." And I was just like, "I like that. I like that. Tell me more."
So the one thing I love about faith is how it builds confidence in our ability to recover. Up to now, so you have 6 months clean. What's the good and what's the bad
Oh,
at this point in your life?
well, 6 months I'm on this pink cloud, and I decided to make a career change. So I was working in the healthcare industry at Valley Children's for 10 years. I decided to quit my job, and I decided to divorce my husband. And that was a huge thing that I made a decision within my first 6 months of sobriety. But the good is that I was building a community, and I had a group of people that were supporting me. I was getting tools to like cope with life. I had a sense of clarity.
Talk about your spiritual connection.
That I knew what God was, but I had never really felt what spirituality, like what God was providing for me, because it was always blocked by some type of a substance, whether it was alcohol or drugs or medications or something. And that spiritual connection that I felt of learning how to pray and like going into a meeting, I didn't know the Lord's Prayer. When I came into AA, into these rooms, I remember my roommate in treatment wrote it out for me. And now that's like, I didn't know the Serenity Prayer. I didn't know any of that. And today, like, I say the Serenity Prayer a lot of times a day. So it's amazing. I found community,
You told me, and the great is, you said, I'm going to quote you right here, you said, you began to find your faith and you started to put things into action, right? You started to have a plan, you started to put things into action, you started trusting God, and in return, the hope became more clear. You were finding happiness. Can you describe that happiness?
Yeah, that happiness was being able to I was putting out goals, and I was reaching those goals. I was becoming more independent. I was never independent my whole life. I either was provided by a parent or a best friend or a boyfriend or a husband or kids, and I finally had like this great independence of like being free, being clear-minded, and these strives, and I felt like I just had like a purpose in life.
So now we're on our way to about a year of recovery. So I have on here, believing in God can provide the strength and resilience needed to navigate our struggles and challenges. The other night when we were talking, you said, the seeds of my faithfulness started to sprout.
Yeah.
So how so, and what did you mean by that?
This kind of thing we call manifesting is I started picturing my life and what I wanted, my goals and what I was striving for, and those things were coming to life, like right before me. I was offered an amazing job opportunity at My Time Recovery, working in admissions, and that was amazing. Like I had felt this purpose. I was helping people. I found freedom. I had this amazing job. I had an apartment for me and my kids. It was small, but it was mine. Nobody could take it away from me, And I was able to provide for them. And I was co-parenting, so I was making my amends, and looking at my character defects and my selfishness. And with that, I was able to have a better relationship with my ex-husband so that we could co-parent. So that was really beautiful.
Okay, so then we move on to 18 months. Faith can give us a sense of purpose and meaning, helping us find direction in our recovery journey. So talk to us about how you started to find that purpose.
So I felt like my purpose was to help people, and like my picture of me sitting in the hospital, I could relate so much to, somebody calling in, like me when I looked into treatment. I had no idea what AA was. I had no idea what the disease of addiction was. I just was looking for somewhere to get away for 3 days without alcohol around me. And what recovery has done for me, and like the definition of recovery to me is like returning to a normal state of mind, strength, and health. And that was what I was doing, and I was finding a purpose of helping other people, find recovery, returning to, good health. I was stuck in a hospital, alone. I had to wear a mask, and I was like, I'm not wearing a mask. I can't breathe. And when people call in for treatment, I can literally feel them and know exactly where they're coming from, whether it's a parent, a loved one, that individual just looking for some type of outlet to help them. And I love doing that. I did it. I still do it. I still help people get into treatment today, and I love it.
So sometimes we talk about that healing. We talk about sometimes all it is maybe just giving somebody a hug, or what you told me on the phone was, just listening to other people's, just being an ear for them.
Yeah.
What's it like to just let someone vent to you, and that agape love of just, that unconditional love, that sacrificial love that you provide other people? What's it like to be there for someone and to help them heal and watch them heal?
Oh, it's unmatched. Like looking around in these rooms and seeing the growth from each individual, including myself, it is this like spirituality that I feel that it's like there is a God. And God to me in the first year was just good, orderly direction. Some people say a group of drunks, some, everybody says different things. But that direction led me to find who my God is for me, to my own understanding. And I see that in other people. You know what I mean? When I'm helping them and I see that growth, it's amazing.
I found God in rooms just like this, right? I found God in Heroin Anonymous. I found God in these rooms to where you see God working in other people's lives and seeing how people are starting to just follow that goodness in their heart. Was it that clear working in recovery, working at My Time, and watching people change their lives?
Oh, it's so crazy. It almost like a week later when they would come out of detox, you know what I mean? And just to see the glow, the weight that they would put on, you know what I mean? Like just that little bit of weight, you're like, God, you look so good. Yeah. And then to see them, some of them I've seen up here share their testimony, you know what I mean? And that is so beautiful. And I'm just like, wow, God is so good. God is the direction that I want to follow, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So being a great mentor over at My Time, along with a lot of people in here that work in recovery, I thought it'd be cool if we talked about how you found your mentors, your sponsors. So that way, if you're new in here and you're looking for a sponsor or a mentor, I know Mia talked about it last week. Kenny talked about it also a week ago. But why don't you dive into that?
Yeah. So I was told when I first came into the rooms is to stick with the winners. Grab an old timer. Had 40 years like him, and I was just like, I want that. And her name was very similar to mine. I don't want to break anonymity. And, I asked her to be my sponsor. And she took me through the book and started taking me through my steps. And I don't want to give too much detail, but it's okay to, fire a sponsor. It's okay to change sponsors.
If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
It didn't work out. And so, I'm working in treatment, and I'm trying to find my purpose. I'm, staying in the solution. I'm like, all right, I got this tribe of females next to me, and I'm like, I don't have a sponsor right now, but they are being my rock. So
pretty much, I'm sorry, you and the first sponsor, you guys started to grow distant.
Yeah, we grew distant, and I didn't have a sponsor for a few months. And so I wasn't working the steps. I wasn't in the book, but I was going to meetings. But meetings were getting a little difficult for me because working in treatment and being in admissions, I felt like I had this weight on my shoulders of that I had to be okay. I couldn't struggle because I'm Sandra. You know what I mean? I'm this important person that's trying to save your life, but yet I'm barely freaking holding on. And so I distanced myself from meetings, and I looked into refuge recovery, and then I had my tribe of girls. And I remember, my best friend who's here tonight, Rachel, she had everything that I was. We were both married prior. We both went through a divorce. We both had, we were both in recovery. We both had boys, and we're practically the same age. And I was like, can you just walk me through the steps and, like, kind of babysit me, and then I'll find a sponsor sooner or later, but, I got to keep working at this. She was like, sure, of course.
Let me ask you a quick question. So, you find Rachel, you start working the steps. Is it hard working in recovery, being like case management? Is it hard working in recovery and going to meetings and seeing clients and stuff like that?
It was, because I still had my ego, and my ego was edging God out, and that was this feeling of being in a meeting. I couldn't, share my real rawness because I felt like I had this, image that I had to uphold because I was, my time's admissions person, and I was Touchstone's admissions person, and, I felt like I just couldn't relate, and so I kind of steered away and went to meetings where there weren't clients, but then I missed that community at the same time. You know what I mean?
And did you and Rachel, were you guys going to meetings together? How did that work?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we were. We were going to meetings together, and then we had a tribe of females that we would go to meetings, and then
What kind of were you at Fresno Fellowship, Sierra?
North Park,
North
Fresno
Park.
Fellowship, women's meetings. In the beginning, the first 2 years of my sobriety, HA, CA, FA, that didn't exist. It was just AA and NA.
Yeah.
And when you went to those meetings, you introduced yourself as an alcoholic or you introduced yourself as an addict. There was no in between. So having something like FA and HA where you can go and introduce yourself of what you are, my disease, I'm an alcoholic, it felt good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, so let's so as we finish here, the topic, faith results in hope. More importantly, how trusting in God makes it all come to fruition. As a recap, when you first got into recovery, you were broken. Looking back, it's fair to say that the dream, the hope was to find peace, to find serenity. More importantly, finding peace while practicing sobriety. You want to talk real quick just about how broken you were and how you found that sobriety, or I'm sorry, how you found that peace in sobriety?
Yeah, my life was chaotic. In the beginning, I had a broken marriage. I was full of shame and guilt. My health was debilitating. I could not get out of bed. I could not take care of my children. I was drinking just to survive. I didn't even like the feeling of being high or drunk. I just could not get out of bed unless I had alcohol. And then just having that hope, so relying my faith upon God and then having that hope that there was a bigger picture out there, and that hope was with prayer and goals and striving, and soon I began to have, all these beautiful things start coming to life,
Right.
It's like a flower blossoming.
By trusting in God, keeping the faith, practicing the faith. You said this the other night, faith will result in stability. Obviously, you're an example of how to fulfill that hope. A couple questions for you. Now that you've been sober for close to 3 years and 10 months, all right, October, right? Practicing that faith, what does that hope feel like now?
The hope is so real and so raw. And trying to explain this in this crazy little addict little mind, I go to sleep sober, but I wake up as an alcoholic. And the real and rawness of having hope is the ups and downs. Like, my life is not all butterflies and unicorns today. I'm jobless. I don't have a job. You know what I mean? I am going through this huge spiritual growth, and I'm able to be honest today. I'm able to set my ego aside. I come and show up to meetings. I work with my sponsor. I tell people when I'm struggling, and I'm not scared to admit that. And that is the real and rawness of what, this faith resulting into hope has done for me, really.
Real quick, why don't you share this picture? What was going on in this picture right here?
So October, right after I hit my 3 years, I started having, this feeling of growth, like something bigger was out there for me. And I reached out to Brian, and I was like, I've never been baptized, and I would like to be baptized. And he was like, I got you. Like, don't even trip. And me, I'm such a very shy person. He was like, I want to make this the most special moment for you where it's just you and your family. And he opened up Bethany Church, and Brian baptized me. And
She got dunked.
yeah, with just my family. And that was on November 2nd of 2023. Yeah. Sorry, I don't want to get my years mixed up.
So you were, at that point, you were ready to walk the walk. You were ready to walk that path, correct? Yeah?
Okay, Rachel was pregnant
That's
with
right.
Addie.
Okay, next question here. How has faith grown over the years? How has your faith grown over the years?
Continuous surrender, full trust and acceptance. I have moments of doubt where I'm just like, God, why? You know what I mean? What is the reason for this? But I know that all these uncomfortable moments that I'm facing are just making way for me for growth. So things that make me uncomfortable give me room for growth, and that's what my faith has done over the years, is just pure acceptance, surrender, and
How do you practice?
I practice it by
How do you practice that faith?
staying in contact with my sponsor, staying in contact with other people that are like sponsors to me. You know, there's a few women in this room that are like lifelines for me. I call them up and I'm like, I'm hurting today. I'm ready to just give up. I don't want to do this anymore. And they, reboot me, like like a little robot, charge me up and, tell me, stick your nose in the book, go to this page, read this, say this prayer. And that helps me. I journal every day. So I've been journaling for the past almost 3 years. And to see my growth from that, I didn't bring my journal today. I was going to, and I thought, what if somebody accidentally took that? That is a big no-no. So I left that at home in a safe place. But to watch what I was writing 3 years ago to 2 years ago to now, my growth in my writing, and just how thankful I am, the gratitude that I have for even the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. I just am so thankful for it.
How important is service to you?
So important, so important. Being a service, either just being a simple phone call, answering your phone for a friend, somebody that's struggling, showing up to a meeting, because if you don't show up, like all of you guys being here tonight, that's just being a service to me, because if this room was empty right now, I don't know how I would be able to share my experience, strength, and hope.
And you've been asked to be of service in September, correct?
Yes. That is a big, I don't even know the word for it. I'm so nervous and excited.
It's an honor.
Jill has asked me to be one of her speakers for the Recovery Summit in September, and I am beyond honored that somebody trusts me to get up there and share my experience, strength, and hope in front of something that she has worked so hard on creating in our community. So I'm very, very thankful. Thank you, Jill.
So what are the 3 things that you've learned in sobriety?
Oh, let me go to that page. So 3 things that I have learned in sobriety is my ego and recognizing it and understanding it. I can become very selfish, and it's almost like I can acknowledge it, and that's something that was really big for me. I didn't realize that in the first year, but as every milestone hits, understanding my ego, gratitude. Gratitude is definitely something that I've learned in my sobriety. A gratitude list, being grateful for everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it.
Are you grateful for those DTs in that hospital? Are you grateful for that hospital visit?
So grateful for that hospital visit. I'm so grateful for the struggle that I've been through my whole life, from childhood to this moment. That is just unmatched, the gratitude that I have. Yeah. My relationship with God is something that I learned in sobriety. God to me, in my own understanding, when I was just in life, as an alcoholic out there, not realizing I was an alcoholic, he was just some spiritual creature that I knew that if I prayed to him, that I would go to heaven. But I didn't understand what the spirituality of God was, and understanding the Bible and understanding who Jesus Christ was, and those things, and having a community and people to walk me through that. So,
What are 2 words that come to your mind when you think of recovery?
honesty and forgiveness, 100%. Honesty and forgiveness.
And then last, what is Sandra's solution? What is the ultimate solution for Sandra?
Give it to God.
Give it to God.
I can't, God, you can, and I will let you. That's it.
Very cool. Let's give it up for Sandra. Yeah.